Whew, and I'm back. So, where did we leave off? Oh, right. Oh, man, it's no secret what I thought about Alice in Chains' previous album, The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here. I remember catching a fair bit of flack for that back in the day too, but as time has moved on, more and more people have had time to sit with this, and yeah, this wasn't as good as you thought it was it? Better late than never, I suppose? That seems like a shitty way to put it, but look, I understand not wanting to slam this album. Alice in Chains were one of the darlings of 90s grunge, and after Lane Staley's death in 2002, it seemed like their particular coffin had been nailed shut. But then Black Gives Way to Blue came out and showed us all that Alice and her lovely chains need not be separated just yet. It was a stompingly fun, great time. I get why everyone was rooting for this band. Hey, I was rooting for this band. I still am rooting for this band, believe it or not, but when they brought out the sloshy, long-winded, monstrously dull Satan put Reptar in my cereal, I just couldn't wave my little pennant around and pretend everything was okay. That album was like watching Reggie brick 3 free throws in a row. We don't have to boo or anything, but I'm sure as hell not gonna cheer. I hated how much I ended up hating Devilman Dinosaur Baby, but it just bored me to tears. I was desperately hoping we wouldn't be in for another waddle through the sludge swamp with this one. I mean, Alice in Chains was a band that always could do sludgier material. Hell, look no further than Rooster, Grind, or even a Looking in View to see that good stuff in action. But that album in particular was so goddamn sludgy, they may as well have titled it fucking Naples. I wanted less of that, and something with a bit more variety, kick, and excitement to it. Did I get my wish? Well, yes and no. Make no mistake, this album is definitely better than The Devil Went Down to Seattle. For one thing, it's certainly much leaner and tighter. But, that's like saying I'm in better shape than, say, 1999 Yokozuna. It's technically true, but probably not as much of a compliment as you might think. Unlike me, this album actually has had some fat trimmed from it. Tracks like The One You Know, Deaf Ears, Blind Eyes, and So Far Under are vivid and stompy, and they don't feel nearly as flabby and bloated as similarly styled songs would have come off on The Devil Wears Dinosaurs Here. And some cuts from this thing, such as Red Giant and Never Fade, are genuinely pretty damn good. In fact, I really liked Never Fade, a touching tribute to Lane Staley as well as Chris Cornell, God rest their lovely grungy souls, that is particularly high energy with a good solid beat to it. A damn solid little number, that. It's just, well, old habits die hard for some groups, and these guys still appear to be having trouble pulling themselves from the swamp. Songs like Drone, Maybe, the title track, and even the album closer All I Am just do not want to get the lead out. In fact, now that I think about it, even a lot of the good tracks on this album, like Red Giant and The One You Know, are still just so heavily rooted in that stompy, sludgy, grimy, low-tempoed kind of vibe, and the album isn't better for it at all. It's almost like these guys were attempting to make, like, doom rock or stoner metal or something like that, but they couldn't fully commit to it sonically, so the album just comes off as slow. Again, it isn't nearly to the extent of Timmy and the Clonosaurus, but this album still doesn't do enough to pull itself completely out of the doldrums. And yeah, again, I know Alice in Chains was a band that was celebrated for their sludgy stuff, but they weren't always so slothful. Them Bones, We Die Young, Damn That River, Sea of Sorrow, more than enough songs prove that these guys could kick things up a notch when they wanted to. I was hoping we could get a little more stuff like that on this album, but, well, sadly, the Sludge Factory has yet to close up shop. It's not a bad album, and it's certainly better than their last one. I'll give credit where it's due, but I just don't know how much more of this sound I want to hear from Alice in Chains. I can't handle much more swampy. If their next album is any more swampy, I'll need to review it in the back of a fan boat, for God's sake. Rainier Fog gets 3 gators out of Wow, that was fast. I'm sure I was like a lot of you when I heard earlier this year that IDLES, the crazily intense art punk quintet out of Bristol, was already going to be releasing their follow-up to last year's Brutalism sometime in 2018. That had me worried, honestly. You guys already know how queasy I get at the prospect of a band doing annual releases. And given that their last album, which, although it was absolutely excellent, hadn't really been given the proper time to cool off yet, yeah, I was nervous the boys were going off a little half-cocked here. I liked Brutalism, but Brutalism 2, me mom's still dead, you can't, feels like it would have subtracted from its original impact a bit, you know? Look, if these guys were gonna release something so bloody soon, it was really gonna have to stand out, be its own thing entirely, and still be absolutely exquisite on top of all that in order to not deaden the initial impact their debut made. Is it possible for an album to even do all those things at once? Well, people, not only is this album all of those things, but beans on motherfucking toast, this record just might be album of the goddamn year. Like, no joke. Holy shit, I don't even know where to begin singing this thing's praises. Like, I always figured IDLES was gonna be a really good art punk act, you know, something good for the circuit that's into, like, Fucked Up, Piss Jeans, Titus Andronicus, that kind of thing. But this is something that transcends even all that. You don't have to be into that scene to dig the fuck out of this album. Seriously, you have to just go check it out, period. This may be one of the best heavy releases we get all damn year. For one, Joe Talbot, as he was on the last album, is an absolute rager behind the mic. His screams, yelps, and hollers are all visceral, biting, and sharp as a goddamn gun. Or a knife. Be my wife! His lyrics on this album in particular are even more thoughtful, intelligent, and deeply provocative. They were good on the last album for sure, make no mistake, but this might be one of the most engaging and endlessly quotable albums I've heard all year. It's absolutely hilarious with lines like, "You look like a walking thyroid, you're not a man, you're a gland," from Never Fight a Man with a Perm. The repeated chants of 10 points to Gryffindor and Graham Rock are excellent, and Love Song, even though I think this song is meant to have at least some sincerity, is just an absolute treat coming out of shrieky old Joey Talbot. I fucking love you. I really love you. Look at the card I bought. It says I love you. Watermelon! But don't get it twisted, people. This is not a comedy album, nor is it an album that's not meant to be taken seriously. Some of the lyrics on this thing are exceptionally poignant, and this is an album that does have a lot of important things to say and discuss, such as on Never Fight a Man with a Perm, Colossus, and Samaritans, where Talbot's screeds on toxic masculinity absolutely cut to the core of the issue. The mask of masculinity is a mask that's wearing me. I am my father's son, his shadow weighs a ton. This is why you never see your father cry. My God, if you've ever been a dude in this world, you feel every single line of some of these tracks with a vengeance. This album also builds upon IDLES' gripping social commentary with songs like I'm Scum and Great's acerbic takedowns of Britain's right-wing post-Brexit bullshit. Danny Nedelko is a terrific protest song about the rights and personhood of immigrants, and a friendly reminder that we should all probably be listening to more Heavy Lungs. And Television is an exquisite laceration at the dehumanizing nature of British tabloids and media. Seriously, "'cause I smash mirrors and fuck TV" might be my favorite line out of any song from 2018, and if someone someone talked to you the way you do to you, I'd put their teeth through. Love yourself! Maybe my second favorite line out of any song from 2018. This track alone accomplishes in one song what Andrew WK's last album couldn't achieve across its entire running length. Man, this review feels weird. It feels like all I'm doing is just reading the lyric sheet back to you here, but people, this album is legit one of the best written goddamn things I've seen in years, maybe since Transgender Dysphoria Blues, and you guys know how much I love that album, so I wouldn't be so bold to say something like that if I didn't mean it. But my god, this album is just so passionate, so gorgeously written, so brilliantly executed that really, you probably shouldn't even listen to mine or anyone's fucking goddamn review of this thing and just hear it for yourself. It's transcendent. The music is bold and experimental. The playing and performances are all outstanding. The record is challenging, beautiful, insightful, and raucously funny all at the same time. And frankly, if after this album, IDLES doesn't become one of the biggest names in rock over the next few years, then we sorely need to look at ourselves and figure out what the fuck is wrong with us. Joy as an act of resistance gets 5 subtle references to Dirty Dancing out of 5.
Super special thanks to Mo Madison, Keller Oran, and Jack Brunton.